literally got to the point where I'm just leaving my camera set up because I keep suddenly something will come into my mind with more clarity than I've had it. And I'm like, I do not want to forget that I've thought this, and it takes me too long to journal. So I just hit record, and any chance,
I do remember.
please, I don't even want to try. I'm so tired. Just please tell me what was it on the topic of?
The mix in responses that you're feeling.
Oh yes, thank you. The one of the things on my mind is that we watched that video. Yes, that narrows it down. I think I want to say it was like McLean Hospital by, his name wasn't Mark. I can't fucking remember because I felt very threatened watching it, and I've spent a lot of time, working through triggers, working through trauma, trying to work out what's even come up, stabilizing, and just trying to self-soothe, I guess, and ground, because I don't want to speak on it from a place of feeling threatened, although I understand why it gave me that response. And I've been trying to listen to the voices of any of the systems whose videos were used without their permission in the video. And I have this mixed reaction where some parts of me believe that if I'm going to speak on this, I want to be reasonable, because I feel like coming from a place of reason is going to be more likely that the points will get through to anyone. If anybody happens to see that, I don't expect them to, but if anybody who is a researcher or who is from the hospital happens to see anything we post ever, I would like it to be reasonable enough that they'd listen to what I'm saying. So for the effect, I feel like it would make sense to try to be calm and to be reasonable. On the opposing side, I don't feel fucking calm and I don't feel fucking reasonable about it. And to a degree, it's on me to manage my triggers and make myself feel stable enough and grounded enough and regulate my emotions. But to another degree, I don't feel like suppressing our emotions is healthy. And I feel like, to me, I'm learning to express things as I actually feel them and to actually experience and express my emotions about things. And I don't feel like it's fucking right to feel like people are owed diplomacy. It makes me feel gross and too fawn modey to be like, I need something from them, i.e. them to listen, so therefore I have to be calm. Fucking bullshit, tone policing shit. No. I think that it's healthy for us to express what we're feeling. And the level I'm feeling it at is going to be a bit because, just broadly a trauma. And I also don't think I'm wrong in that I don't know about what, I'm not going to measure what fucking level it comes out at. I feel like I'm having a lot of responses between different parts of me right now, which is fine. I do think what he did was wrong. I think the way he did it was wrong. I think it was actually really damaging and insulting and short-sighted. And I think for somebody working in that field, there are ways that he could have gone about this. And there are questions in that video and there are topics that I think would be really helpful for the DID community and for professionals working within that community to know the answers to. But I don't feel like the way he asked them was in any way considering of the health and safety of the clips of the people he used. And I don't think that the way he did it was in any way working without his own bias in the mix, because it seems like cherry-picked data from individuals whose some of their videos would match up with his definition that he's learned in his clinical practice from his studies of what DID looks like. But he didn't choose those clips from their videos. He chose one or two clips that highlighted things that for him fall outside the remit of DID, and it was heavily implied that these people did not have DID when I know at least one of the systems is professionally diagnosed, and also professional diagnosis is not the only way I would say any system has any validity, because we know our experiences. I understand that there are a lot of overlap with a lot of other disorders, and that is a serious issue that needs to be looked at in everyone's case for the individual looking at it themselves. And I understand that some people probably do Malinga, I don't know. I just feel like the damage of fake claiming anybody based off of like cherry picked statistics from ignoring most of their content, and just picking the things that don't line up with what his definition is the wrong way to go about this, especially when it's like blatantly disregarding all the information that would line up with the way that he categorized it, and that I don't feel comfortable at all with the way he categorized it. Like saying these things do not, we're not likely to see this in the clinical representations of DID, but say the example he used there, that system was professionally diagnosed, they do have DID. So clearly your DID, either maybe DID presents differently in a clinical setting to when people are more comfortable on their own social media account. And I feel like that should have been the question. How does DID present differently through these things that I maybe haven't seen in my clinical practice? But I feel like his automatic assumption was my definition is the only definition, and everybody whose behavior falls outside this even one time doesn't have it. And I feel like that's just like a really inherently harmful viewpoint to take, especially with the life and experiences that people who are likely to have developed DID will have. And I feel like it's so fucking thoughtless and disgusting a way to treat that entire demographic when you allegedly know enough about it to work with people like this. It makes me fucking worried for his patients. And I just feel really angry at him and the way he did this. I know that we need more data, and I know that we need more studies, and we do, but professionals should be speaking within the community, observing within the community, and at least fucking asking individuals to use their content, if not at least looking through their content, rather than just picking one thing and then going, well, I don't know anything about these individuals, but here are some behaviours that don't come up in DID in the clinical setting that I've seen them, and heavily implying, therefore, these are behaviours you could observe in people that don't have the disorder, when clearly, objectively, you're wrong because those people do have the disorder. And also, I don't understand why it's so much easier to be like, I have the whole rounded definition of all the ways this can present ever because I've observed it in clinical practice in X amount of people, rather than I haven't observed how it presents and how it interacts with, say, people on the internet. How is it going to interact between different generations? Like, maybe the people that he's observed and worked with carry a lot of shame, and maybe, hopefully, as time progresses, you may encounter more people online that have worked through a shit ton of fucking toxic shame enough to accept parts of themselves in a way that means they're able to be more open and more explorative, more expressive in settings that he's not used to. And why is that not a consideration, rather than, oh, this doesn't outline with the categories of what I'm used to seeing, so therefore they must be wrong? Like, that pisses me the fuck off. Why is the assumption it's only DID if it looks how it looks in a clinical setting, when you got to think, if we've spent a lifetime being told what our broad generalization, I don't know that everyone's experiences this, but I think it's probably likely that as systems of trauma survivors, we have spent a good deal of the time around people who behaved abusively to us and were big on gaslighting and on telling us what our experiences were and what our experiences weren't. I completely threw myself by... that threw me. Just watching that video has made me feel attacked and threatened, because I'm like, holy shit, we're looking to try and get specialised treatment to maybe try and be able to fucking survive a little bit better, because shit is rough every single fucking day. And I know we're going to a different place, but it makes me think, if these are the people that are the professionals that we are supposed to be able to get this care from, and they can have such a limited and bias appearing opinion and way of going about collecting data that we need, it makes me feel very defensive and like we're not going to be seen or believed, and those are two inherently traumatizing experiences that I'm sure a lot of us have already had. So I'm just thinking about this, and that internally critical hypervigilant monologue of what I'm doing and how it looks has increased so much since watching that video, and it's taking me and all of us a lot of work to like not withdraw, not close down, to let people see us, just literally the people around us, just literally to talk to our friends, to talk to each other, and to not like be really hyper vigilant about everything I'm thinking, saying, feeling, how we work, how we interact, and to not see it under a microscopic lens of how I now feel the whole world, especially the professionals that we're just starting to try to get into contact with for the treatment that we need, are going to see us as. I lost track of the beginning of that sentence by the end, but hey, hopefully it makes sense. Okay, so if it's making me feel like this, and I've watched this video one time, I'm furious, and I feel so hurt for the system whose content was used, because I can't even imagine how much worse and how much more amplified that is, and how traumatizing that is to have experienced when I'm getting all this stuff and I wasn't personally, like, our content wasn't used. I've just watched it, and it's made me feel this way, and it's re-triggered a lot of shit. So that's the first thought. Second thought is, if he's observing a lot of people that he's working with as clients in clinical diagnosis, I know that we become a lot more rigid when speaking to our therapist, who's lovely, by the way, who's helped us a fuck ton, who's very non-judgmental. But it doesn't matter, because this theme of being told what our experiences are and aren't our whole life, and having somebody else's disowned, projected fucking bullshit motives and emotions projected onto us and told they're our own, makes you want to like hyper explain everything you're doing, and it makes you kind of unable to see yourself, and it makes you see yourself as like this distorted version with motives that you don't hold. It makes you question your own motives constantly, because people did that our whole lives, and it gets internalized. And all of this shit just naturally happens whenever I'm in a professional setting at all. I'm already thinking of all the times I've been gaslit. I'm already thinking of all the times somebody's been unable to see me through the distorted, rejected, projected emotions and viewpoints of themselves that they have like put on us. I'm already trying not to be seen in any of the lights of things I'm not. I'm already hypervigilant about it. I think it's very fucking possible that the people that this professor dude, I wish I could remember the video better, and I don't want to fucking watch it again, but I wish that he could consider that maybe people present differently in what he sees in clinical practice due to the setting and the nature of the setting and the relationship that they have than you might find online, and than you might find in really any other situation or community or setting. Because certainly we get more rigid. It gets harder to co-front. We can co-front quite fluidly, at least in front of a camera now, and without the camera rolling, and in front of a couple of like 3 people and systems that know us quite well. But that completely changes when we're talking to our therapist or our doctor, and I imagine it's going to be really different as well, and difficult to get that kind of level of communication and not like compress and shut down and become rigid in any setting that is also clinical because of all of this shit. So the fact that he's like, what I've seen in clinical practice is the only presentation of DID, just blows my fucking mind, because if you know anything about how people that are this traumatized respond, like, then you know that there is such a variation of different safety mechanics, and one of the main safety mechanics was not letting on that there are safety mechanics at play. So like, a lot of shit is not going to present how it would present in the wild, naturally in my own habitat, if I'm like observed and aware that I'm being observed and thinking of how much I'm being judged after a lifetime of trauma from being observed and judged and misjudged. So it's like, it's fucking wild to me, and I'm fucking angry about it. And I see at least what I'm going to do with where I started this query, because I'm going to do vlogs completely allowing my emotional state and expression and response in a way that's healthy for me and healthy for us. Until I get to a place where I feel able to read my notes and then do a video more addressing it in a way that I feel is cognitive enough and reasonable enough, because I think having an emotional response to this is natural, and I'm not going to inhibit that if one comes up. Oh yeah, I'm starving. I'm really hungry. Fuck.